Okay, where were you at ILPs? When I was totally worried you were not going to be passing this grade level?
In biology?
Yeah.
I think I was like at 50s.
You're like in the 40s, 50s. Where are you at now?
I think I got 70.
Yeah,
70.
and if you do well in this project and these last few things, he could still end up college ready, Mama.
All right, now you know that's what I'm looking for.
And you really turned it on. But I want to warn you for next year, you cannot wait till last minute on stuff. Like, it's not going to work for you. And I don't like seeing you stressed out, and I don't like seeing you out of your program. Like, I want you back in what you were working on. Are you working with your program again, the one you were the mentor with?
Yeah, I'll be doing it this summer.
Excellent. So you'll be doing it again this summer. And hopefully coming back in, you're going to come back really strong next year, so you're never taken away from those kids. Because I think you learned a lot about yourself this year, and plus, we've had some major obstacles that you've had to overcome this year with your friends and just yourself in general. So I'm really proud of your grade, and I know Sexton is too, because I touched bases with him today. So you'll hand me your rubric, and on your rubric is just kind of how I'm assessing. And if you'll just fill that out with your name, and then just write the learning targets from your cover on it. Pretty good little expo today.
Yes.
We get better every year, don't we, Mom?
Yeah, we do. We're trying.
And he's been bragging about his nephew as well. It was nice to see the little one the other day.
Oh, yeah, AJ.
And how's Miss Tina doing?
She's fine, yes.
She's holding tough?
Yes,
She's
doing
being able to
excellent.
balance her being a principal and being a mama?
Yes.
Good.
Well, you know, I have the baby.
You get the baby every day?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I get him every day.
And
And I spoil him, and I kiss him, and I change him, and I feed him.
That's awesome. And Elegant's getting some good feedback in there, too. Huh?
Yes.
All right. So, Devonte, we're going to start with explaining your project, and then I want you to go into the literature review, what you learned from your research, then talk about your procedures and your protocols, and well, for sure, hypothesis, how you ran an experiment, and then we'll talk about like future and ahas and kind of some of that other stuff. And I'll help guide you through this presentation, okay? So let's talk about your project and what you learned. Go ahead and start with the literature review and introduce your project, please.
All right, basically my project was about how does shooting a basketball with one eye affect your shooting percentage and depth perception. So what I basically did to test this was I had 10 people shoot 10 free throws each at the free throw line. So I had them shoot 10 without an eye patch, and I had them shoot 10 with an eye patch, and I looked at the differences of it in percentages.
Right eye or left eye?
It depended what hand they were. If they were right-handed, I would put it on the right hand.
How come?
Right eye. I just thought that it made more sense like that, so I wanted to keep it consistent.
And were you watching how they shot, and then you decided, and you asked them whether they were right-handed or left-handed?
Yeah, right-handed.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Talk to me about some of the stuff you learned that was relevant to the project.
From this, I learned that the eye is like a real important thing that's part of your body, and it affects a lot of things.
How does the eye work? Did you research that?
A little bit about it.
Okay,
I learned that when you see, if you're looking at one eye, you only have a vision of one thing. And if you have two eyes, it's basically two visions, so you're able to see more.
And does your brain interpret that, the details of it, when you're using both eyes?
Yes.
Good. Talk to me about what else you learned in your literature review. I know you had 5 questions that you researched. Can you tell me more about those?
Like what I learned from the experiment?
Well, more from the literature review. What background? You had 5 questions that you researched? Yeah, tell me about those.
Some more of the background I learned. I learned, actually, toward kind of the ending, I learned that depth perception is like, it only affects some types of sports. Like if you play tennis or something like that, the depth perception, if you have one eye, it's not going to really affect you when you're playing tennis. And I also learned that there's a lot of people that are one-eyed and they play basketball fine. Like it's not a problem for them.
How do they do that? I mean, what happens with their bodies that it does that?
I guess their body is used to like looking at the one vision.
Okay.
So I guess that since they only have one vision, that they can focus on the court more rather than using 2.
Okay. Talk to me more. Anything else in your literature review that you learned that helped contribute to setting up your experiment?
Anything else?
So we used talk to me about the eye patch. Did you use a blindfold? What did you use for an eye? Did you have them cover their eye?
It was orthopedic. How do you say that?
You got it. That was right.
Orthopedic eye patch. So.
Which were actually used for what?
For injuries, I believe. Yeah.
So you actually basically gave them an injury.
Yeah.
Covered their eye up. Okay, great.
Yeah, stuck it on their eye.
So before you started your experiment, you had a hypothesis. Can you tell me what your hypothesis was prior to the experiment?
If you shoot a basketball with one eye, then your shooting percentage will be bad because if you have only one eye, you will only get one image of the hoop rather than two.
So your bad is defined as what? Define bad for me.
It won't be good.
Okay, but define. I know that.
It will be low.
Lower. Thank you. I need a measurable there. Thank you. Talk to me about. Did you have a control group, or what was the control for each person, or what would you call a baseline?
The control for each person was shooting 10 free throws with regularly without an eye patch.
And the normal way they would shoot.
Yeah,
so you didn't tell them anything. You just said stand at this line and shoot some free throws.
Made sure they were behind the free throw line. So basic free throw.
Okay. What other data did you collect from your test subjects? You mentioned one of them already, which was something about their arms.
Oh, I collected data from left-hand and right-hand.
Mm-hmm.
So I had two people that were left-handed in
Okay.
this experiment. Everyone else was right-handed.
And did you see a difference between your lefties and your righties?
My lefties, my lefties was Jabari and Andrew.
Well, Andrew's an interesting case because he's not really a lefty or a righty. What is he?
He uses his left hand, but he can use both.
Which does he write with?
I believe he writes with his right hand.
Interesting. So
But
he is truly an ambidextrous, but he is a lefty shooter and a righty writer.
Yeah,
So he would have been a difficult one to test. Which eye did you cover up for him?
the left eye. For him.
You did cover up the
Yeah,
left
because he
eye.
shot with his left.
Because that's it. He shot with his left.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the evidence. So what did you find in your data and your results, and were there any surprises?
A big surprise was that people actually shot better with the eye patch on.
Interesting. And who did that? What percentage of people shot better?
There was only one person who didn't shoot better with percentage. And that was Brandon.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
And so, based on that, and that surprised you, what else other data did you get there?
What other data like surprised
Did you collect? Yeah. What other data or what other trends did you see in your data?
A trend that I seen was Michael that he actually got 0% on shooting regular shots.
Did he do any better with the eye patch?
Yes, he did way better with the eye patch.
You're kidding.
He shot 0% with the eye patch. He shot 40%.
Michael Guzman.
Hey, Michael Guzman.
Wow. And what was his percentage after shooting with the eye patch?
40%.
Unbelievable. That surprised you.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, does that conclusion, is that consistent with stuff that you did in your research? Did you find any evidence about people with one eye doing better with the one
Yeah,
eye?
I found out, I looked up another thing. I found out that it was saying in the article that depth perception won't actually affect you when you're playing sports. And it just told me that certain types of sports it would, and the certain types it wouldn't. And basketball was that case, that it wouldn't.
So it's more practice, like
Yeah.
just practicing with that.
Yeah.
So that makes me interested in future research. So let's say that you wanted to go in sports medicine, or
That's
you
what
wanted
I
to.
did.
It's
Sports medicine,
awesome.
yeah.
So let's say freshman year in college, you are told you have to do a biology science fair, and you decide to do this. What are 3 things you would do to change this project? You have as much money as you need, and you have a full year to do the experiment. What are some things you would change?
I would use a gym inside.
Okay, how come?
I guess because inside it won't be as much flaws because you're outside. Like a lot of things can affect you, like the wind, like the sunlight.
Excellent.
Things like
So
that.
those would be considered experimental
Errors.
errors.
Yes.
Excellent. So you named wind. What else could be potential experimental errors?
Sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it could be like the dirt on the ball or something like that.
Mhm.
That could
Excellent.
be like experimental error.
And then what about your test subjects? Could there have been any experimental issues or error with the people that you were using? Did you test them all at the same time of the day?
Oh no! Oh yeah! I would test them all. I tested majority of them all on the same time of the day, but some I had to do separate.
Yeah, and I think that you may know this, but I know that it's real. The psychology of a basketball player is always part. It's hard to measure
Yeah.
psychology, but like some days you have a bad day. The media said something bad about you. You got a bad grade on a test. So would you say that measuring stress levels maybe would be something?
Yeah, stress levels could have been it too.
Or heart rate even.
Yeah, or even heart rate.
Yeah. Where you could do a baseline, I'm thinking if Michael was having a stressful day.
Because I did this some of these I did this part at the walkathon.
Oh,
so it
right
could
on.
have been the stress from walking. or
Oh,
the
from
heart rate.
walking. That makes complete
Yeah.
sense. So there's another error, a scientific error, which is
Yeah.
great that you recognize. But you have millions of dollars, you have a whole year to do it. What are some other things? So in a gym would be one. What else?
I would try to get people that actually only have one eye, that can only use one eye. And I would get half left-handed, half right-handed.
Perfect.
Something like that.
Did you use all guys, or did you use guys
I
and
used all
girls?
guys.
You used all guys.
I could use girls too for one of them too.
Absolutely. I
That
think
could be
that that'd be a
change.
great one. And then what was the age of most of the people who were involved?
I only used one. I had to use one kid, which was 11.
Mm-hmm.
So it was.
So the age range was 11, and how old was the oldest?
Um,
Well, Andrew is probably your oldest, right?
yeah, no, Sam was the oldest.
So it's 22?
Sam's 20.
20, okay,
Yeah.
so 11 to 20. So maybe more, what do you think?
I would try to use the same age.
Or do more in each
Yeah,
age level.
more
So a
each
bunch
age.
of
I like-
11-year-olds, a bunch of
Yeah.
12-year-olds. You have millions of dollars, so you
Yeah.
can do whatever you want with it. Talk to me about something that was an aha for you that came out of this.
And
Like something was, wow, I didn't know this.
aha, probably my aha would be, my aha that I learned from my background was that only when you lose like depth perception, you'll be told that you will lose an eye. But it says for most people, like you only lose very little of an eye. So I thought depth perception, like your whole eye would be gone, but for some people it's just a little bit.
It's just partial sight.
partially, yeah.
So maybe more research on that. So let's assume that an NBA coach is here in the building and he sees this video of you and your project. How could an NBA coach use this for training purposes? Because you got some really cool data that I think could be totally implemented into a basketball.
Yeah. How can you use it for training purposes?
Yeah.
Maybe you can determine if someone's eye is like going out or something, or who has the better eye.
Yeah. Could you couldn't you give a whole team eye patches and make them practice?
Mm-hmm.
How would that affect the team, you think?
Maybe the shooting percentage will go up, or
that's what your data shows, right?
Maybe it'll go up, or you can see who's better with. I guess who's better shooting with both and who's shooting with one.
Absolutely. Do you ever close one eye when you shoot?
No, I've never done that before.
So you watch the NBA because you're a big basketball fan. So when you watch basketball, watch the people at the free throw line. About half of NBA players will close one eye. And when you shoot a gun, when you aim a bow and arrow, what do you see people do?
Close one eye, yeah. I guess because the vision.
So that absolutely proves and so that might be something else for future experiments you could totally do. And what sports do people end up closing one eye when they're just doing it normally? Because I know with shooting and I know with bow and arrow, that's very typical where they'll do the one eye. Did you even consider that when you were thinking about basketball?
No, I didn't think about that.
So it'd be great to, if you ever decide to extend this experiment in future classes, even in physics, you could totally do the physics of basketball. But I would definitely do some, it gives you an excuse to watch basketball games, where you could actually watch and chart free throws and chart how many keep their eyes open, how many close one eye, and which eye do they close, and which are they shooting with. So you totally could have collected data from the playoffs.
And something else, like sometimes people in games, like sometimes they get poked in the eye and they have that eye barely open, they still play.
They
so
still totally play, yeah. And that's a rare one to be pulled out of you very rarely will be pulled off the court for an eye being poked. You'll get a foul, or the other person will get a foul, but you won't see the presentation. Devonte, I think great. Can I see your works cited is right there on the bottom? Awesome. Can I see your data collection, please? Did you have like a notebook or any of that?
Yeah, I had it on paper.
Let me see that. That's what I want to see. Perfect. So Devonte, in the long run, was this a valuable project to do?
Yeah, it's a valuable project.
Yeah, you learned something. Are you glad you got to follow your own passion and decide what you wanted?
Yeah.
So one of the things I was impressed with is you knew exactly what you were going to do pretty much from stage one. You didn't find this on Science Studies. This was from your own brain.
Yeah, it's from your own brain.
So I think you could totally extend it, and I would hold on to your research. Make sure you keep a copy of this because I think you could totally use this. And if you are going into sports medicine, this would be some phenomenal research. I'd be interested in seeing this tested with college and with professional players.
Yeah.
I mean, especially the training purposes. Like, it'd be really interested to show people their training tapes with one eye.
Yeah.
Like, just don't even tell me to do it. Just make the whole team wear an eye patch, and then video it, and then make the team watch how you shoot better with one eye. I think it could be a really interesting. Billy Beane did it for baseball. You could be the one doing it for basketball. And create the percentages by this. We'll call it the one-eye Devonte method. There you go. All right, man. Really brilliantly done. I'll have these total hopefully by tomorrow, if not by Monday. So you're good to go. Thanks, Mom.